Hello, everyone. It's Friday. It's Chat with Mac. We're glad to have you. For those of you that are our loyal viewers, thank you so much. And for those of you that are joining us for the very first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. Nadeem, how's it going, sir?
Oh, going great.
Good, 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 good. Busy
Yeah,
week, huh?
just been a busy day today.
Yeah, I can tell you're tired.
Well, so we had a lot of things going on, right? We're coming back from what happened with Kaseya, and certain things that we were using we're changing. Some vendors are changing. So basically, we had to uh, get rid of our ticketing system and go to a whole new ticketing system. So that integration we have to get done and all that. So it was just a long week, and we're
Yeah.
working, still working some of the quirks out, some of the notifications, and because you know nothing is you just drop it in and it just works, right? You have to customize it to your business requirements, and that's what we're doing, is customizing it.
When is that? Next month? Is Windows 11 coming out next month? I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so Teams, and I know we're using Teams right now as we speak.
Yep.
We use Teams for everything here. Communicating meetings, the whole 9 yards. And you were talking about when Microsoft integrated Explorer with Windows, and now it seems like they're doing the exact same thing with Teams, and it's going to be integrated directly into the operating system. Now, go figure. I didn't know that it wasn't already integrated. I don't know how I missed that.
So how did you install uh Teams? It's part of Office. Right now, Teams is part of Office.
Okay, okay, okay,
So
okay.
if you
Yep, yep,
installed
yep, yep.
Office, you got Teams. But
Got Teams. Okay.
and here's why you didn't even notice it, because the Office that you're using is part of the Microsoft 365 family. And so when you install that, it automatically installs Teams, and it seems all integrated. But Microsoft is taking it a step further, and they're doing, that's the Microsoft playbook. They will extend it, they will integrate it, and boom, all of a sudden, since a product already comes with the OS, why would you want to go with another product? Why install a third party product? It's already, you're going to get it either way, so might as well use it, right? So that's the strategy here. And hopefully there won't be any antitrust issues, but yeah, so Windows 11 is going to have Teams built in, and there are several versions of Teams right now, and this is going to be another version of Teams that is built into Windows 11, which is, I believe it's going to be like their free tier, that so everybody gets that, and then if you subscribe to it, you can add, other subscriptions on top of that. Like, for example, for us, we have Teams, and then we have, I mean, we use Teams extensively.
Yep.
We use it for, like we're doing this video recording.
Yep.
We're using it for that. We use it for PSTN calling. So we don't. All of our phones ring into Microsoft Teams, so they ring into the Teams infrastructure. And then, I mean, it's a natural extension of everything. I mean, all of our documentation, it integrates with SharePoint. I mean, OneDrive, with Planner, with tasks, to do. I mean, it's just. I mean, by the time you start counting, you can't count on one hand all the different things that we do in Teams. But I think it's going to be a much better experience if it's integrated with Windows, because right now, if we invite a third party to a meeting and we do a Teams meeting, they can attend the meeting without having to install anything on their machine, but they have to. It runs in the browser, right? So it's a browser-based Microsoft Teams experience. If Teams is built into Windows 11 and we send somebody an invite, it's going to be an integrated experience. So I think the performance and all that is just going to work much better.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, on the one hand, it's like they're kind of, I wouldn't say using a bad tactic, but it's their operating system. They can do what they want. But the thing is, at the end of the day, I think for consumers, it's going to be easier to communicate, especially with what happened with the pandemic. Everybody all of a sudden was remote, and Microsoft saw their Teams usage jump up, like, I don't know, what was the number? I think 300 or 400%.
Yeah,
It was some weird
ridiculous
number
number.
out there. But yeah, so I think that's going to be great that it's integrated with Windows 11. The whole experience is going to be integrated, but I think it's going to be better that it's integrated with Windows 11, and Windows 11 handles multiple displays so well. That whole experience with multiple displays and Windows remembering which application was on which display, and being able to group applications together. I think with Teams in there, it's just going to be a totally awesome experience. I'm really glad that Microsoft did this, because I think at the end of the day, that whole experience is going to be so much better. Because right now, multiple monitors and high resolution monitors, the experience kind of sucks in Windows. And not, not just Windows, it even sucks on the Mac, but it doesn't suck as much on the Mac as it does on a Windows machine. So it is what it is, but I think it'll be a great thing for everybody involved.
I mean, we wouldn't really see a big difference as far as functionality or anything of that nature, correct? I mean, it's
Yeah. No, the functionality is pretty much going to stay the same. I think it's just going to be a little bit of performance improvement and some visual cues that are going to be a little different. But functionality is going to be very similar. I mean, Teams is pretty well integrated with the system, even though it's part of Office and it installs as a third part. I mean, as another extra application, but it's pretty well integrated with Windows because both products are from Microsoft. So of course, but I think performance will be better because it may have some deeper hooks into the OS, so that's going to make performance, somewhat better than any other product out there, pretty much. So all these other third-party, web meeting and conferencing systems, I think Teams is going to beat them out on just raw performance, just because it's going to be so well integrated with the OS.
So let me ask you this, Nadeem, man. It's still in the same vein as far as us talking about Teams, but I just want to slightly pivot with the Windows 11. Highly anticipated. Everyone's been talking about it. I mean, Microsoft, my God, between the desktop as a service, that we talked about last week, now, and we've been talking about Windows 11. What is your thoughts, being that you're a veteran, of all of this as far as Windows? What are your thoughts on Windows 11 I mean, do you think it will compete with, Mac OS? If it's successful enough, do you think it would completely change the trajectory, of Microsoft as far? Because I mean, the way I've been reading, it's as if they're changing everything. And I don't know if there was an aha moment when they were like, "Hey, we need to be, more competitive," or we just want to set ourselves apart. And I really want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, so looking at things historically, Apple has been very conservative making human interface changes to their OS. Their changes have always been very small, subtle, incremental changes. Microsoft has, on the other hand, made some drastic, huge jumps when it comes to human interface. And that's a double-edged sword. Like I think I've said this before, the problem here is then, see, Apple can go out and say, okay, we got the human interface right to begin with. That's why we only need to make minor changes. On the other hand, if you make a major change like what Microsoft has been doing, then it's almost like saying, oh, we totally screwed up the first time. Here, let us try again. So going from Windows XP to Windows 8, oh, we messed up the first time, we're going to fix this. And then from Windows 8 going to 10, oh, we screwed that up, we're going to fix this. And then going from Windows 10 to Windows 11, oh, we totally messed that up, we're going to fix this. So it's like, you can't, I mean, so from a third-party view, I'm thinking of it like, okay, you're making such drastic changes. Did you just totally screw up the first time? The first 3 times?
Yeah.
I mean, not just one time, but the first 3 times? I mean, why such major changes? Did you not do enough research? the first few times. So there is that. Now, having said that, if the interface was very similar, it's like, before I get into that, let me put it this way. So Apple has always had the dock down at the bottom with it's been a centralized dock. Windows has always been the start button on the bottom left corner. It's always been there. Now all of a sudden, by default they're bringing it to the center, and it's like, why did you totally do it wrong for like over a decade? I mean, so Apple really had it right from the get-go, and you had it wrong. That's why you're just switching it like all of a sudden. But the incremental changes are there as well, which I like the idea of being able to group applications in a certain way, and then the OS remember that group. So when you have, you have a monitor connected in, and you have 3 apps in a group on that monitor. When you connect that monitor in, it automatically group those apps and put that on that monitor. So the OS remembers. Now that's intelligence, right there. Is now I don't have to move my apps back into where they were. So I think those incremental changes are welcome. But as far as major interface changes, that to me, that tells me that, oh, we screwed up the first time, we're fixing it. Here's our competitor did it right, so here's how we're going to do it now. I mean, in a way, okay, so that's fine. I mean, if you're fessing up and saying, okay, we totally screwed up, we're going to fix it, that's fine. But really, so do you really think you have it right this time? I mean, look at all the iterations of Windows, back from Windows 3.1. I mean, every time they do it, is Microsoft really considering that this new interface is going to be more productive for users, or are they just changing it so that people will just buy it for the change? I don't know. And that's why I think Apple has such diehard fans, because Mac OS back from PowerPC days has been the same interface. It's been the same. I mean, everything looks and feels the same. The changes come in at the performance level, and there's incremental small changes that come down the line, not major changes every time a new version of the OS comes out. So it reduces the learning curve, even for people who work in IT all day long. We develop muscle memory, and when things change, we need to break that memory and then create new memory, and that just takes time. It's almost like Tesla reinventing the steering wheel. So people have muscle memory. It's hard to get rid of that muscle memory. So there's going to be a lot of people who are going to run into issues because they're going to try to grab their steering wheel from the top, and there is nothing there. It's just dead air. So they're going to be like, oh, there's nothing there. Or they're turning the steering wheel, and they're going to end up touching those buttons on there. There's so many buttons on that steering wheel.
There's so many buttons.
They're going to end up touching those. But I mean, it's just, you have to make small incremental changes. Maybe change the location of the buttons one time, and then maybe change the steering wheel another time. You don't do everything at once. And I think that's what the difference is. Microsoft is trying to do a lot of things at once, basically giving you a whole new look and feel, when Apple, on the other hand, does incremental small changes. I mean, if you look over the years, macOS has had some good changes visually even, but they've been one change at a time, not like 50 different things change all of a sudden, so all of a sudden it looks totally different and you're totally lost. Think of it, what happened with Microsoft Office. From XP you went to 2010 or even 2007, and it was such major changes. And then I mean, there were times when I couldn't find something, and I had to go search, and where is this option? It used to be under File. Where is it now? I mean, that's a drastic change. Now that 20 minutes that I spent trying to research where the menu option I'm looking for, that's wasted time from my life. It's never coming back.
Yeah, no, I do understand.
But Teams integration, I think it was bound to happen sooner or later. Now, the question some people are probably asking is, hey, Microsoft spent, I don't know, what was it, 3 billion or something on buying Skype? Whatever
Yep.
the hell happened with that? So a lot of so Microsoft bought Skype for the technology, and a lot of that technology is in Teams. Without them buying Skype, I don't think they could have done what they did with Teams. That's why they
Mm,
bought Skype. They didn't buy Skype because they want to leave it as Skype and keep using it as Skype. No, they bought it for that knowledge transfer so they can integrate that with their own product, which is
mm,
Teams. So
Teams.
so
Mm,
Teams has a lot of components, underlying components that actually came from that Skype purchase.
and that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
didn't
mean,
know
it
that.
used to
Wow,
be,
that's
remember
interesting.
it used, so they bought Skype, they kept it, the Skype, the consumer version, and then they came up with Skype for Business, and then the Skype for Business went away and it was replaced with Teams because
Teams.
that was a technology. Now, you don't, a regular person won't even realize that there is a lot of Skype technology underlying the Microsoft Teams because the interface is so different, but the underlying technology is what they got from Skype. And Microsoft has been trying for very long to get into the phone business. They're getting closer now, but they're still not 100% there. I mean, so right now, like you can use Microsoft Teams. Like I wouldn't use it for a large, 200 user enterprise. It's just not going to work. The 200 user enterprises use Microsoft Teams PSTN calling along with their regular phone systems.
Right.
Uh, yeah, so and the reason they do that is because a lot of the functionality does not exist in Teams. Like on a regular phone system, it's they have pretty much any phone system out there is going to have extensive reporting capabilities. Team does not have very good. I mean, I wouldn't even say. I wouldn't even call it rudimentary reporting service. I mean, it's almost non-existent. The other thing is, an enterprise phone system, it needs to have the capability to be able to record all calls. Teams can't do that right now. Hopefully, at some point, Microsoft will fix it to where you can set a Teams policy to automatically record all calls
hmm
and add more reporting functionality, but we're just not there yet. However, I do like one thing that Microsoft does pretty good. And maybe I just like it because I'm used to it. I know how to do it because I know a lot of other Microsoft partners don't do this and they're scared of it. But it's the way they handle number porting. It's all automated. It's such a nice way to do it as opposed to a lot of other traditional phone companies out there where they have to get a human involved and there's scheduling and then one person drops the ball somewhere and the whole thing just falls apart. With Microsoft, it's all automated. The only time you involve a human is if you need to change something that wasn't planned. Then you need to involve a human. Otherwise, it's all automated. It's all done through a machine interface and is a much better experience, in my opinion, compared to any of the other number porting I've done ever. I mean, it's just such a nice experience to do that. Now, of course, I've run into a lot of other Microsoft partners that we help get them do some knowledge transfer to get them used to Teams implementations. They have a lot of problem wrapping their head around how the number porting is going to work. They have a lot of problem wrapping their head around how we're going to implement the call routing the way they want it to be. It can be a little tricky because you have to think like a programmer and not like a telephony person. But once you get that process down, it's a nice easy way to do it.
So, are you saying that Microsoft is trying to be like a Digium or some of these other companies that are offering?
They they
Uh,
they they, they pretty much are.
huh.
They are. I mean, with like for a lot of small businesses, we are actually replacing full-fledged phone system with Microsoft Teams.
I didn't know that. Huh.
Yep. Because the call functionality, the IVRs, the music on holds, all that stuff is there. The only thing that's missing is extensive reporting and the automatic call recording features. Those are
Okay.
the few things that are missing. But Microsoft Teams with PSTN calling comes in at a much lower price point than any of these traditional phone system providers. So they have that going. So a lot of the small businesses, they're just moving to Microsoft Teams and calling it a day.
Who knew that? Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, and one
Sure.
of the other things I've noticed is that most of the IP based phone service providers compared to Microsoft Teams, the call quality, even on degraded networks, is better in Teams compared to a lot of the other IP phone providers. So, and I don't know why. I think the algorithm that Microsoft Teams uses is a much better algorithm, and it can do error correction much better compared to some of the other, like the SIP protocol. The call quality that we see on regular SIP phones compared to Microsoft Teams on the same network, you can tell the difference. I mean, the human ear can tell the difference that Teams is better quality voice. So,
I mean, honestly, I use it. Great, great soft phone option there, and the call quality is amazing. So,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The only thing is, like, if you need to, for example, bring somebody in on a conference call, it's,
It could be a
it's a,
little cumbersome.
yeah. Now scheduling a conference call where people dial in for a conference, that's easy. I mean, it's
Real
like
easy, real
anybody
easy.
can do it.
Yep,
But yeah, there are some nuances. There are some things, but I mean, we use it like every day, all day long. This is our. I mean, I think I think I'm at a point where I rely more on Teams than I do on email.
that's
I think
true.
I'm at that point.
That's true.
And it's been great. There were some hiccups, like when they transitioned from Skype for Business to Teams. There was some clunkiness there, but now that we are on Teams, and it's been rolled out everywhere, it's a much better experience. And I think that they are still tweaking on improving the video quality. Like, I remember, back when in the day when we used to record these calls over Teams, the quality just was so bad. And now, when we start recording, the quality doesn't just drop down all of a sudden.
No, it doesn't. Yep,
So,
yep.
yeah. So I think we'll call it a day at that. I'm just gonna go home and I'm gonna lay down. I'm just tired.
Get some sleep, boss.
So everybody have a great day and be safe out there.
Everybody have a good one. Bye.